has to be present, and then the other karanas, like supposing if it's an eatable, the digestion etc. has to cooperate, then only the ananda is felt. Otherwise the ananda is not there. And so this is the Swarupananda alone manifests as Vishayananda, but we don't know that, and we confuse this Vishayananda to be something which is Swarupananda itself, because Vishayananda is Swarupananda. Swarupananda transcends all Vishayas. This we have to know. And so therefore we confuse it and we go after objects, thinking that the finite contact with the objects and the finite happiness that we get, object-based happiness, is the happiness that is due to me. But actually what is happening is that the happiness is already there, which is what? Subject-centered. Happiness is already centered on me. I have to discover it, not by trying to contact other objects. This is what the idea is. You can take your place if you like. Yeah. So this is what is talked about. In fact, in the Panchadashi, there are the last 3 chapters are all on various types of ananda. The chapter 13, 14 and 15. Vidyananda, Yogananda, and it ends in Vishayananda. So, what is the point of this? The point of the Swami Vidyaranya's, the author's writing, is to show that all these anandas are dependent on Brahmananda alone. So, Vidyanande Brahmananda, Yoganande Brahmananda, Vishayanandepi Brahmananda. Everything that Brahmananda alone is the basis for all ananda, that ananda which is natural to me. And so here we are not talking of that ananda in Anandamaya Kosha. In Anandamaya Kosha we are talking of that mistake, the mistaking Vishayas and the happiness which I think is associated with the Vishaya for the happiness which is myself alone. That mistake is costly because and it's not Brahmananda, because it comes in degrees. We saw yesterday the degrees. What are they called? Priya, Moda, Pramoda. And so it has degrees. There are also other degrees that the Taittiriya Upanishad discusses. And for example, first it sets up a what is that called? Ideal, typical unit of human happiness. One unit of human happiness is a young person, man. Why man? Because less encumbrances, more strength. That is why. So, young man, yuva syat, sadhu yuva, adhyayakah. Sadhu yuva means a very sattvic young man. Young and sattvic don't go together generally. Unless the young man's name is Satvik. So, that's also a possibility. But young and Satvik normally do not go together. But here this person is a sadhu. Yuva syat, sadhu yuva. And then, okay, must just be not educated. Adhyayakah, very well educated. Oh, must not know how, must not have social skills. Must be a geek, computer geek. Computer nerd, like this there are expressions. They are very, they are very introverted and they don't make friends easily, all these things. No, ashishta, very nicely socialized. Okay, must be just wishy-washy, cannot make up his mind. Dradishta. Okay, all these things are sounding too good to be true. He must not be strong. You go foo and then he falls over. No, balishtaha, strong. And then what? Now he is looking like son-in-law material for every Indian parent. The Indian parent is thinking, oh, great, this is wonderful. And then, what else? The Indian father will think like this. But the auntie, the the mother is much more practical. What does she say? Where is the money? You can't live off the goodness. We are not going to give our daughter to this fellow. Show me the money. And then the next line says, Tasya vittasya iyam prithvi sarva vittasya purna syat. This whole earth with all her mineral resources and then riches, diamond, gold, lumber and real estate, everything, let us say, belongs to him. And then what? No complaints. This is one unit. Saha ekaha manusha anandaha. Manushasya ananda. One unit. This is ideal, typical. This is just a hypothetical situation. And then we do some, not Vedic mathematics, Vedantic mathematics. What do you do there? You multiply this by 100. Sayeko manusha anandaha. Teye shatam manusha anandaha. So, you multiply that by 100 and then you get 1 unit of the lowest level of celestials called Manushya Gandharvas. Half the time they complain and the other half the time they sing. That's why they are Manushya Gandharvas. Okay? So, then what? Then like this it keeps going, and then you have Gandharvananda, and then 100 units of Manushya Gandharvananda is 1 unit of Gandharvananda, 100 units of Gandharvananda is 1 unit of Ajana Jana Devanam Ananda, 100 units of that Ananda is 1 unit of Pitra Lokanam, Chira Lokanam Ananda, and then 100 units of Pitraloka means the ancestors. The ancestral Ananda living in heaven and other realms, and 100 units of that is 1 unit of Karma Devas Ananda. And who are these Karma Devas? Chaiwalas in heaven. Okay, yeah. They bring tea to all the other devatas. If you are a chaiwala on earth, you become a prime minister. And if you are a chaiwala in heaven, you become what? Karma Deva. And then after that, like this, it goes all the way to Hiranyagarbha. And so this kind of a Ananda with divisions is not what the Shruti talks about. So therefore, this is Anandamaya Kosha. It is not Ananda itself. So then, if this much has been understood, we can see when is this experienced. So first of all, it is more experienced for the deities in heaven, as we have seen, than the human beings. The human beings are a mixture of papa and punya. So whenever punya is fructifying, then Anandamaya Kosha is experienced, and then Anandamaya Kosha is very much there. Whenever anybody is sattvic, there is a little more Ananda in their lives, and whenever anybody is more dharmic, there is a little more Ananda is there. And then what else? So it shines, we are told in this verse we just studied, that Punya Vishesha, whenever Punya comes, Punyasya Anubhave Vibhati. So Punyasya Anubhave Vibhati, whenever Punya is fructified, it shines. And then people find themselves rejoicing without any effort. Sarve Nandati. Sarve Nandati. Then when else is the Ananda, Anandamaya Kosha active in deep sleep? This is the verse that says, Anandamaya Koshasya Sushuptau Spurtirutkata Swapna Jagarayo Ishat Ishta Sandarshanadina. Anandamaya Koshasya Sushupti. Sushuptau, seventh case, in Sushupti. What is Sushupti? Sleep. Yeah. In deep sleep, the Anandamaya Kosha is very evident. Why? Because you feel nothing but happiness in sleep. So, and then Swapna Jagarayoho Ishat. Ishat means little bit in Swapna Avastha, little bit in Jagrada Avastha, Ishat. And then why? Ishta Sandarshanadina. When you see Ishtavastu, when you say Ishtavastu Darshanam. So, Priya, Moda, Pramoda, all of them come. So now, can we take Anandamaya to be Paramatma? No. Why? Naivayam Anandamayah Paratma. It is not Paratma. Why? Sopadhikatvat prakriter vikarat. Karyatva hetos sukrita kriyayaha. Vikara sanghata samahitatvat. Many reasons are given. Beautiful. I mean, it's very difficult to compose verses like this where you are giving all the reasons. Na eva ayama anandamayah paramatma syat. This cannot be Paramatma. Why cannot it be Paramatma? Upadhikatvat, sopadhikatvat. Sopadhikatvat means because of it having an upadhi. What is the upadhi for Anandamaya Kosha? Mind. We already saw buddhi and the indriyas and all these things. So the mind is the upadhi where the happiness is felt, and then sopadhikatvat prakriter vikarat. It is the modification of what is that called? Prakriti. Prakriti means it comes under the spell of the three gunas. Like everything in the Prakriti, it is a modification of the Shakti of Ishvara in the form of the three gunas. So all of it comes under the spell of the three gunas. So therefore, Atma, which does not come under the spell of the three gunas, cannot be considered at all here. Okay. Sopadhikatvat prakriter vikarat. Prakritehe vikarat. Karyatva hetoho. Karyatva means it is a product. Anandamaya is a product of what? Of this Maya Shakti. Every upadhi is a product. It is not a karana. What is it? Karya. Karyatva hetoho. Karyatva hetoho means because it is a product of what? Good deeds. And that's what is told, sukrita kriyayaha. Because when do you experience ananda? When there is punya. And then punya, it is the effect of punya. So therefore it is karyatvam asti. Karya is there. It is a karya. Karya means what? Effect. Karya is effect. It is an effect. Then you have to ask, what is it an effect of? You can say the three gunas, etc. But here it's most directly the effect of good deeds. Because when is Ananda felt? When you do have good things. Then Ananda is felt as the punya, the results of punya. So punya is the cause. Punya itself, see why it is confusing. Punya itself is the result of action. But this is the result of punya. The happiness and the calmness of mind is the result of action. So it is the punya alone that makes one enjoy Ananda here. And then the last reason is that it is a vikara. Vikara sanghata samahitatvat. Samahita means that which contains what? Vikara sanghata. Sanghata, a group, an assemblage of modification. Because it contains an assemblage of modification in the form of Priya, Moda, Pramoda, all of them. So this Anandamaya is also dismissed as Para Atma. All the five koshas are taken one by one described and then understood properly, and their conditions, and then how do they operate, what are their limitations are understood, and each one is made threadbare by showing it cannot be Paratma because they are all Jada, all the koshas are Jada, Atma is what? Ajada, Chetana, and all the 5 koshas have other limitations, changing, and Atma is, they are all Savikara, this is Atma is Nirvikara, and all the koshas are product, Atma is neither product nor cause, it simply is. So, because of all these reasons, these koshas just become problems because they are, what are they? They are locus where the error is made. 5 different areas where I mistake myself to be something other than Atma. I mistake myself to be the Ananda derived from objects in the Anandamaya kosha. I am Bhokta, this is the problem. In the Anandamaya, associated with the Anandamaya, I consider myself the experiencer. And if I identify as the experiencer, whatever I experience is what? Finite, totally finite. And then, so like this, each kosha has a problem, and so identifying with all of them, with any of them, is not going to be helping me at all. And then now then the teacher says, this is what you have to do. You can repeat. Panchanam api koshanam nishedhe yuktita shrutehe tannishedhavadhis sakshi bodharupo vashishyate. So, Panchanam of the 5 koshas, yuktitaha. Yuktitaha means by proper enquiry. Proper enquiry using logic. Yukti here means logic. So, you can use logic and come to a proper enquiry, just like he has done here, one by one, looking at the limitations, looking at Vikara plus Nirvikara, changing, changeless, sentient, insentient, part and whole. Like this, we can hold each kosha under the flashlight, and the teacher says, this is how you have to dismiss them. Panchanam api koshanam yuktitaha. Yuktitaha nishedhe shrutehe. So what kind of yukti? But the logical enquiry based on shruti. Shrutehe yuktitaha nishedhe. So nishedhe means upon the dismissal, upon the negation, because the logic has to be based on what the Shruti says. Shruti sammata yukti or Shruti anukula yukti. Anukula means that which is cool. Yeah, that which is cool with the Shruti. That is the logic I have to use. Shruti anukula yukti. A logical argument that is in keeping with the Shruti. When you do, what happens? Nishedhavadhi means at the time of doing the negation, one thing becomes clear. What is that? One thing only remains non-negatable, which is that Sakshi. The witness of everything that is being negated stands out. So, tan nishedha avadhi. Avadhi means at the time. So, at the time of this negation, or avadhi can also be taken as at the end of the negation, at the culmination of the negation, what remains? Sakshi. Who is Sakshi? The observer, the negator. The negator who is observing all these things being negated remains. So, tan nishedhavadhi sakshi avashishyate. And avashishyate means remains. That alone remains. And what is the nature of this sakshi? Bodharupaha. This sakshi is not ordinary. This Sakshi is in the form of knowledge. A knowing being, a self-conscious knowing being remains. Catch hold of this knowing being, and then your Tvam Pada Vichara is complete. And then what does the further study of the Shruti will lead this knowing being to equate this knowing being to Ishvara. So this is very much in keeping with the methodology in the Bhagavad Gita and in the Upanishads as we are seeing. And so the teacher is saying, see how we negated all this one by one. Like this, when you negate all the 5 koshas, of the 5 koshas, when the negation is done, what emerges is the content of the negator, who is the witness of each kosha being negated, and then what remains is this Sakshi, the observer, whose Swarupa is that of the revealer, which just shines the light on everything, which is a knowing being, which is Bodha Swarupa. Bodha Swarupa means in the form of knowledge. A knowledge that transcends knower known divide. Knower known means of knowledge divides. Jnata Jneyam Jnanam is not there. That kind of a Bodha Rupa, and then this is what is there. And then the teacher, that alone remains, the teacher says. And then he gives an example of what to look for. What is it that remains? And that is what is Atma. Yoyam Atma Swayam Jyotihi Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Nirvikaro Niranjanaha Sadanandassa Vigneyaha Svatmatvena Vipaschita. Yeah. So not Vipaschitaha, Vipaschita, third case. Okay. Yeah, like Maruta. So now what is left is Bodha Swarupa. Okay. And these 5 koshas, which were like eclipses covering as it were the Atma, have been removed cognitively. They have been cognitively removed, and then what remains is the observer, the negator. The nature of the negator is what? Is Bodha Swarupa, of the shining nature of knowledge. And what is this Bodha Swarupa? It is none other than Atma. And this is a repetition of what went earlier. The same verse we saw much earlier, same thing. Avasthatraya Sakshi San Panchako. When the Upadesha began, let us try to find it. When the Upadesha began, it was taught. Where is it now? Even before the Maya discussion, right in the beginning, it was there somewhere. Avasthatraya Sakshi San Panchako. 35? Yeah. So verse 35. Look at verse 35 and look at how identical it is. Yeah. There also, Asti Kaschit Swayam Nityam Aham Pratyayalambanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Yoyamatma Swayam Jyotihi Panchakosha Vilakshanaha Avasthatraya Sakshi San Nirvikaro Niranjanaha. Little few changes and additions are there. That's all. So, there also same thing. We have seen this. So, Swayam Jyotihi, self-effulgent, self-shining, does not need to another Atma to light it up. Self-effulgent, self-shining Atma, Yaha Ayam Atma Swayam Jyotihi Panchakosha Vilakshanaha. Here now we can understand what he means, distinct from the 5 koshas. Avasthatraya Sakshi, the witness of the dreamer, waker and waking and sleeping states. Avasthatraya Sakshi San, Nirvikaraha, unchanging, Niranjanaha, over which nothing leaves a residue. The Panchakoshas are sitting very close to the Atma. Do they leave a residue? No. Niranjanaha. Sanandaha savigneyaha. Know this to be, this Atma to be along with Ananda. Ananda is not an attribute. Ananda is the Swarupa, the very nature of the I. So this Ananda, which is myself alone, know that to not be an attribute. It is the nature of this I. And savigneyaha, this is to be known. This is to be known as what? Svatmatvena. As oneself it should be known. Svatmatvena. It is not somewhere there shining, somewhere sada shining, sada ananda and all these things. Because that Atma, which is what? Should be known as oneself by who? Vipashchita. Svatmatvena vipashchita vigneyaha. Vipashchit means the Jnani. So may the Jnani know and abide this Atma, even though the person who is about to know the Atma is not a Jnani, but the teacher has full confidence in the teaching and in the parampara and already is calling him Jnani. So Svatmatvena vipashchita. So this Atma by the Jnani or the Jnani wannabe. Now someone who wants to be a Jnani, and then by the wannabe Jnani, may it be known as what? Oneself. I should know this as myself. I should not think there is some Atmas somewhere there and I have to understand it has all these glories and I have to understand. No. May one know it as the truth of oneself alone. This is what is talked about. And then the teacher waits, the teacher thinks, okay, the teaching may be complete or maybe the class is over, but the student has a question, a panicky question. Let us see what this question is about. Mithyātvena nishidheshu kosheshveteshu panchasu sarvabhavam vina kinchit na pashyamyatra he guro vigneyam kimu vastvasti svatmanatma vipashchita. Yeah, so he is thoroughly confused. Mithyātvena nishiddheshu kosheshu panchasu. Sati Saptami, what is that? Locative absolute. So, what does it mean? When all the koshas are dismissed one by one. Mithyātvena nishiddheshu koshasu api panchasu. When all the 5 koshas are negated, then what happens? Nothing is left, O Guru. Nothing is left for me to see, nothing is left for me to be. All I see is a big hole, and it is not spelled W-H-O-L-E. How is it spelled? H-O-L-E. There is nothing there. O-M-G. What have you done? At least before I had a mistaken notion of myself, and when the mistakes were removed, the myself was also removed along with the mistakes. There is nothing to fall back on, nothing to look at. So, sarva abhavam vina. What is there? A big hole. Sarva abhavam means the absence of everything. He's getting close to becoming a Buddhist. So, the absence of everything. Only Shunya, nothing else is there. Sarva abhavam vina, without this complete, what is that? Absence of everything, I don't see anything else. Na pashyami atra, here I don't see anything else. Oh Guru, help. Where did I go wrong? I negated, what did I negate? I negated the first kosha. What is its name? Annamaya. Yeah, whoever said pranamaya, see me after class. So I negated the second kosha. What is its name? Pranamaya. I negated the third kosha. How is it called? Manomaya. I negated the fourth kosha. I negated the last kosha. Ayyo, nothing left. Negation over, nothing is left. What to do now, O Guru? Nothing is left other than a big hole, sarva abhavam. So that is all is left. Vigyayam kimu, what indeed? What indeed is there to be known? You said there is a vastu and it's a self-shining vastu and it is, you said all these things. Svatmana vigyayam kimu. What should I see? And you said this Atma is vipaschit, this Atma is all-knowing. There is nothing there. There is no vastu to be known as myself. And who is this? The one who is adept in doing this kind of a nishedha. The vipaschit, the jnani, who is the jnani does this kind of a nishedha, this kind of a negation, and comes to this conclusion about oneself as swatma. One's own atma is what is left after all the accoutrements are taken away. And you said that, now I have diligently followed, and then what? I don't see anything that is left. The teacher is so patient. In fact, from the teachers in these kinds of books, only we all learn how to teach. So patient. And you will see in the Kenopanishad also, the teacher is so patient, very, very patient. And here also, the teacher could have said, what? So many satsangs I spent talking about the 5 koshas. Where were you? Were you sleeping? And how could you not understand this? This is what anybody could have said. But what the teacher says is really very beautiful. And then we'll just read that. And then he agrees with the student. Satyamuktam tvaya vidvan nipunosi vicharane ahamadi vikaraste tadabhavoyamapyanu. Yeah. So he says, yes, Satyamuktam tvaya. By you, what has been said is true. And who are you? Vidvan. Oh, knowledgeable one. Knowledgeable one, how to say? We'll see that later. Knowledgeable one. Because does he have knowledge, the student? No, not only that, he is on the wrong enquiry. But still, the teacher has faith and complete, confidence in the operation of the pramana. And so, with that, with the trust in the parampara, the teacher says, Satyamuktam tvaya, he vidvan. Hey vidvan, you vidvan have told the correct thing. And then Satyamuktam. Further praise, Nipunosi vicharane. You are quite adept at this enquiry. You are skilled at this enquiry. And then he says, what does he say? He says, Ahamadi vikaraha te. Ahamadi vikaraha means the aham here means not I, ahankara. All the modifications starting with ahankara, these modifications and their absence, api, anu means whatever follows, and sarve, the next verse is also implicated, we didn't chant it, sarve yena anubhuyante yaha swayam na anubhuyate. So this is a very beautiful thing. He says, O learned one, it is true that in negating everything, nothing you think is left. But you forgot one thing, you forgot to count that one who is negating everything. The truth of the negator is the one who is experiencing this negation and doing this negation, And while you can see the negation and you can see the objects that are negated, you can't see the negator. Why? It is you. It is not an object, it is you. So really, since you could not see the negator, what did you say? The negator does not exist. It's not that the negator does not exist, negator exists, but the negator is not to be grasped as an object, and the negator is therefore to be grasped as the content, the truth of the one who negates. And that is when you will be on the right track. So that is what the teacher says, and then the teaching will continue. We'll see that after the weekend. Yes. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Not be all the way back. This. Oh, is it? It should be right here. Okay.
I was thinking she will face to put her leg in and
No, she was not leaning off. So here.
Okay.
Just bring to get this edge